Celebrity Court of Public Opinion.
And I'm Al Reynolds, your host and judge.
Each show, there are 4 celebrity cases, 3 real attorneys, 1 verdict, guilty or not guilty. This is Celebrity Court of Public Opinion.
All right, A-listers, come on in. A-listers, come on in. Sandra McGee, welcome back. Tony Gray, 7844, welcome back. Lionel Seiler, welcome back. Collect Davis, our real estate broker, come on in. It's my birthday month, too. Come on, Gemini's in the building. It's June 1st. It's been Gemini season for a little while, but y'all know those June Geminis, they hit a little bit different. Charlene Lambert, come on in. Brenda K, love to see your name. JP Mills, come on in. SL Warrior, get on in here. It's Gemini season. LV5, 99, F99, come on in. Editor, come on in. Deliria Washington, get in here. New York Marie, come on in. Everybody, come on in. Lathea Robinson Smith, love to see your name. Regina, I'm glad you get to catch us tonight. Kim Hayes, come on in. Christopher Liverman, yes, sir. Get on in here. David 62, 151. Get in here. Brian and Simone, where you guys been? Caramel 1977 Cancer. Hello, beautiful. Who else is in here? Essie Stone, get on in here. Doreen Pierce, come on in. And Glammy Brown, you better step to the front of the line. I hear some regurg back here. I don't know what's going on with my audio. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Listen, tonight's episode is called Fame, Feds and Foolishness, and Celebrity Court Gets. All right, tonight, Celebrity Chaos has entered the courtroom. Stunna girl allegedly missed court, and guess what the court said? Don't worry, we will come find you. Terry Rozier is caught up in a federal gambling-related allegations, and baby, once the Fed starts asking questions, the group chat is over. We all know that. Brian Flores just got a major opening against the NFL. Yes, a discrimination case here. The league may have to explain itself somewhere it cannot fully control, and that is in court. And last but not least, Love Island's Josh Goldstein. Yep, that handsome guy right there is suing Hyatt after an alleged hotel privacy leak involving an ex. Because apparently some people think the front desk is customer service and TMZ at the same time. That has actually happened to me before. I'll share that when we get to the case. Yep, you heard me correctly. We have 4 cases, 3 lawyers, and 1 messy judge. That's me, and a jury, which is you, all of everybody that we have down in the chat. And you guys better not be quiet tonight. I'm Judge Al Reynolds. This is Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. And tonight, Fame is not on the red carpet, baby. Fame is going to be on our witness stand. Welcome to Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, where we take celebrity gossip and legal consequences, stare with a little bit of shade, and serve it hot or not. All right, now, let me be clear. Nobody here is being convicted tonight. Allegations are not facts. Charges are not guilt. Lawsuits are not verdicts. But optics, that's all we care about in Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. Optics are always admissible in our court right here. And tonight I have 3. Shaitan is not with us tonight. I apologize. So it's a men's night. Tonight I have 2 attorneys here to explain the law, clean up my mess when necessary, like they do quite frequently, and hopefully disagree with each other enough to keep the courtroom interesting. Counselor Carter, Counselor Weiss, welcome back to Celebrity Court.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Here.
Absolutely.
By the way, before we get started,
no law school lectures and no 6-minute explanations. No, it depends. Unless, of course, you're right. No long explanations, unless you're about to tell me what the real deal is. All right. Don't forget our jury, which is in our chat. They want clarity. The jury wants clarity. The culture wants accountability, and I want the truth. But I need it with a little bit of seasoning, and I know that Attorney Carter is going to give it to me. All right, jury, be sure to hit that like, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram at Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. I'm putting that all in one sentence. Don't forget to follow us at Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. I want to try something new in our future shows. I want to do some human interest stories. All right, I want to do some human interest stories. So we'll do 3 or 4 celebrity cases and 1 human interest story. So run over to Celebrity Court of Public Opinion and drop down in the comments or send us a message on a human interest story that has sparked your attention and you want some answers. All right. Also, don't forget to drop your city in the comments. In your first verdict of the night, who is already, after watching and hearing who we're got in jury tonight, is it Stunna or is it Rozier? Is it the NFL or is it the Hyatt? Who's guilty? I need to know. You guys drop down in the chat and tell me who's guilty. All right, don't forget the rules of the court are this simple. One, we say allegedly when it's alleged. Two, we let the lawyers explain the law. Three, we let me explain why the public is already side-eyeing everybody. And four, the jury, that's you get to vote in the comments. And the fifth rule is, if one of these lawyers start boring me, I reserve the right to object and argue with them. That's all I'm asking. Counselors, don't take that personally. So you take it a little personal. I really don't care. But anyway, court is now in session. All right, first up, Stunna Girl. The case title of this is Stunna Girl. You can ghost a text, but baby, when you ghost a judge, it becomes a different story. You heard me correctly. Our first case, Stunna Girl was reportedly arrested in North Carolina. Now, the arrest was tied to an alleged failure to appear issue from an older case. Okay, so it's not a new case. We know that. Now I'm going to say something simple. Court is not like brunch reservations or hanging out with your girlfriend. You don't get to miss it and say, my bad, I'm busy, kind of like what she said. Counsel, quick legal reset is probably what we're going to need here. And I'm going to go to you, Attorney Carter. Attorney Carter, before you explain to us what's going on in this case, I want you to first explain to us, what does failure to appear actually mean?
Most of the law, as you know, has a lot of Latin and Greek and Pig Latin. None of that's applicable here. Failure to appear literally means that you did not show up where you're supposed to be, right? It's the most easy thing to understand the law. Last Thursday night, all right, she's driving down the road in a black and white Mercedes. Good for you, girl. And it get pulled over. License and registration. They run her license and find out she's been wanted for 10 years, since 2017. Whoa. 2017, she got arrested for misdemeanor trespassing and resisting arrest, whatever that is. All right. So it wasn't a big deal. And what happens is she didn't show up then. And they don't come get you if you have a misdemeanor for the most part. They just wait for you to pull you over, because eventually you're going to drive stupid again. Right. It took her 10 years. So I'll give her credit. All right. But eventually they caught her again, and then they put her in jail, but they let her out the next day for a $3,500 fine. All right. But the failure to appear is basically like, look, when you have a court date, it's not optional. It's not a kind of thing where, like, oh, it's not like showing up, right, at a party or to your mama's house at Thanksgiving. Actually, it's like your mama's house Thanksgiving. All right, you got to be there. All right,
yeah, and you got to be there. Right. Jason, let me ask you really quickly. So the court basically is saying we had a date and you missed it. So standing up the court is not an option, like Attorney Carter says. But tell me, like, specifically, how big of a deal is it? Does the judge get upset? Are they usually forgiven? Are they irritated? Are they already reaching for the warrant button? Like, what's the word here?
So look, you get something to show up. Nobody shows up on your behalf. Not you, not your attorney. A lot of times what they'll do is they'll roll it to the next docket. They'll give you an opportunity to come back and say, Your Honor, I'm sorry, I missed it. I had a flat tire. I overslept. Whatever the excuse is. So that's probably what happened. When she failed to show up the second time, bench warrant out for her arrest. But like Attorney Carter said, they're not going to go out there and look for her and do anything and do all of that. It's you travel, you get on a plane, they check it. You get pulled over for a speeding ticket, they check it. You go to renew your passport, your driver's license, they check it. So the court knows at some point in time, you are going to get checked. And guess what? You are going to get brought in, and as a judge that I used to appear in front of all the time would say, don't forget to bring your toothbrush when you come to court, because if I don't like your answer, you're spending the night.
All right, really quickly, Attorney Carter. So from a celebrity angle, because clearly she's somewhat of a celebrity. She is a rapper. She was also on The Baddies. If you represent someone with a public image, how do you stop this small case? Because obviously what I'm hearing, it's not that huge of a deal. It's a big deal, but it's not that huge of a deal. But how do you stop a small case becoming a headline, a mugshot, in a comment section?
Yeah, and here's the weird part. I can't believe she didn't do it in the first place. What she should have done, taken a little bit of that Mercedes money and gone and hired Jason. All right. And basically said, look, you can send your lawyer in there. You don't have to go and turn yourself in necessarily. You can send your lawyer in and say, hey, look, my client years ago had this little thing, didn't handle this thing. How do we handle this now? And for the most part, they're going to be fine with it. And here's why. If it's a minor thing, the truth of the matter is nobody's around the prosecutor anymore. The witness for test, she probably trespassed into a store. That person don't work in that store anymore. They're not going to want to have a big OJ trial over this nonsense. They'll have you pay a fine, right? You plead, guilty to some lesser charge and get probation. So all she had to do was just hire somebody to go take care of that. She didn't have to necessarily go in herself, but she decided that she wanted to wear that outfit in jail, and I'm sure she was very popular that night. But anyway, although I got to give it to her, the hair's nice, so she looked good in jail. But she had to spend a few hours in there. She should have worn that outfit. That would have been better. But the point is that, you can avoid having to go to jail looking like that if you just hire a lawyer to come in and sweet talk them for you. That's our job.
Jason, if she was your client, what would be the first thing you tell her privately that you might not say in a press statement?
Why didn't you show up the first time, you moron? How's that?
I'm going to fire you tomorrow.
No, I mean, look, here's the thing, right? When you ignore a notice from the court, I don't care if it's a jury duty summons, I don't care if it's a failure to appear, a traffic ticket, that is like Monopoly. Go straight there, right? Do not pass go directly to jail if you disregard that. These judges, they're wearing the black robes, they get to bang the gavel, and they tell you where to be and when to be there. And unless you have a great excuse, you are not going to be excused. And a great excuse could be, I got a flat tire. I couldn't call in. My car was towed. Like, they'll listen to that. They're human beings. But when you just flat out just ignore them, forget it. That's it.
All right, Sean, this is my thing. Like you said, it's 10 years. Her fans, of course, will say, leave her alone. The court, of course, you see what they're saying. They're saying, bring her in. And then I'm sure, like, everybody else is like, okay, girl, like, you couldn't take care of this for 10 years.
10 years.
Answer me this, please, though, really quickly. What's the 30-second lesson here for our A-listers?
The 30-second lesson, by the way, I took a look at this. There are 8 million outstanding bench warrants out there. So about 3 or 4 people in the chat got one too. All right? Go find you a local lawyer and say, look, I've been messing around with this stuff. Because here's what the problem is. The problem is you want this to be, you eventually got to resolve this. And you want it resolved on your timing versus on the side of a road at 3 a.m, you trying to get to an airport, or worse, you try to get a job and they do a quick check and find out you got a bench warrant. Nobody's hiring you that way, right? You want to find out before they find out on LinkedIn. So go ahead and get it taken care of and hire a lawyer. It won't be the most expensive. It's not Johnny Cochran, all right? It's not that bad.
Let's jump down to some of these chats right here. Christopher Liberman says, laughing my you-know-what off. Regina Christian is, how do we find out if we have a warrant before they find us? Regina, that's my friend from college. Regina, you better not have a freaking warrant, woman. Okay. Colette Davis says, not me. I stay from the courts. Deliria Washington says, not me. Lakita, good evening, everybody. Good evening, Lakita. I be the shit says she's a runner. She's a track star. Deliria Washington says, Attorney Carter, it's funny. 10 years, just wow. All right. Danielle Cameron said 10 years. Who was looking for her? Let me see. Who was looking for her? Stevie Wonder. I know, right? She didn't never go anywhere, I'm assuming. I be the shit says, I can't stand Sean. All right, we got a super chat from Brenda K. Brenda K, thank you so much, Brenda K. Everybody say Brenda K.
Brenda. Another one there, Your Honor.
And then also we have another super chat. I thought I saw another super chat here.
You did.
Yes, Caramel 1977 Cancer. That's my girl. Thank you so much, Caramel 1977 Cancer. I appreciate your support. Like I've said 100 times before, couldn't do this without you. Thank you for being there the first day and continuing to rock with me. You have no idea. You have no idea what that means to me. All right, let's go straight to the jury. Jury, I need to know what you're thinking over there. So do you think she should, be given grace because, she forgot? for 10 years? Or do you think that she should be held accountable? All right, jury, what do you think? Your turn, jury, it's your turn. It's a celebrity misses court. Is that usually because she forgot? Is it celebrity entitlement? Drop down in the chat and tell me what you think. All right, now that was court calendar messy. But this next one, this one is federal messy. And when the feds walk in, the vibes change immediately. Be sure to ask Coach Stormy. She knows all about it. All right, Terry Rozier, the title of this case is When the Bet Becomes the Bigger Story. Yep, you heard me correctly. Now, according to the case file, he is facing federal gambling-related allegations and reportedly denies involvement. Let me say that again before the comments get reckless. Reportedly denies involvement. But the second a player's name appears near gambling allegations, the public does not just ask, did he do it? The public asks, was the game clean? And I think that's a fair question to ask. And see, that's where it starts to get dangerous. Let's go to your attorney, Carter. What I want you to explain to me is the difference between people betting on an athlete and an athlete allegedly participating in a scheme and how that could muddy the waters. Give us the background on this case, please.
Okay, so this started back in October. The feds came and they rounded up Rozier. Here's what they said in October. They said, look, you had a game in which, and by the way, just so you understand how betting works with sports, you don't just have to bet on win or lose. You can bet on how many points, rebounds. You can bet on how ashy Kevin Durant's ankles are going to be, how many people Anthony Edwards knocks up before the game. You can bet on anything, right? And one of the bets you can bet here is how many points this guy would get and how many rebounds, et cetera. He called his boys before the game and said, hey, look, I'm going to go ahead and fake an injury in the first quarter. So whatever the under is, take that because I'm not going to play the whole game. And I'm not going to have as many points or rebounds, et cetera. These fools went out. And this is boys from back in the day, right? From day one. These fools went out and they didn't just bet a little bit. They bet like $250,000 on this. Now, remember, you don't bet $250,000. It's like, you don't bet $250,000 on LeBron, right? You're not going to bet on this dude who barely plays, all right, not that good. And so they immediately that tripped the algorithms that say, hey, something's going on here. It went to the feds and the New York authorities. And the feds happened to catch on to this because they were also doing some other investigating and his name cross-referenced. And here's where the new charges is. So they charged him back then and said, hey, look, you tipped your boys off, right? It's like insider trading. That was bad. Then they said, no. Now we found out that you took a bribe. You took $100,000 bribe to do this. And now we're real mad, all right? Because now it's one thing to tip your boys off and let them make some money. It's another thing now where you made money. And here's the crazy part is, he took $100,000 bribe. His per game salary in 2023 was $262,000 a game. He took less than he would have made to play the game to pull himself out of the game. This is nuts. This is bad math. All right, this is dumb. And there's a suspicion that maybe he has a problem where either he owes the mob a bunch of money or one of his boys does. He's trying to get them out, but there's no reason why for $100,000 he would have tanked his entire career because he was making $21 million a year, and right now he works at Home Depot. Okay,
dang.
And I know, don't get me wrong. I know, not full time. He only part-time stuff. He don't have benefits. All right, he ain't got no money. All right, and he gave all up for $100,000 when he made $200,000 a game. It doesn't even make sense. It's crazy.
That's really crazy. All right, before we move on, let's see what the FBI has to say about the bailiff. Take it away.
The charges and the arrests that were taken down across this country range from wire fraud, money laundering, extortion, robbery, illegal gambling. This FBI will leave no room for any perpetrator of crime across this country. You hear a lot about our work of defending the homeland and crushing violent crime. Well, this work is also representative of a colossal portion of the FBI's mandate to keep America safe and to keep our entertainment industry fair and secure. The men and women that are standing up here today worked tireless hours, days, months, and years. And the fraud is mind-boggling. It's not hundreds of dollars. It's not thousands of dollars. It's not tens of thousands of dollars. It's not even millions of dollars. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars in fraud and theft and robbery.
Before we get started, before we get to Jason, can someone tell me, maybe one of the A-listers, why that fool needs to turn his head to talk to other people? His eyes are going every which way. He can just keep his head straight and just talk to him anyway. But go ahead, keep going.
He likes a good night out. Don't forget. Remember, he was drinking or something at one of the bars. Anyway, Jason, let's go to you. I have so many different feelings about this. You know, I said this in the chamber. I just feel like I understand the wrongdoing here. I don't understand throwing it on Front Street with a press release from the FBI. I feel like this is something that doesn't warrant that. There's too many other crazy, extremely illegal things going on in this country. Throwing a guy on Front Street with the FBI press release is just not something that I'm a fan of. I don't care if he was wrongdoing. It was $250,000. It wasn't $250 million. And it's definitely not $1.8 million fund that you're putting together for the people who were a part of the insurrection. So this is my question. What kind of evidence do the feds usually want in a case like this? Are they looking for texts? Are they looking for money transfer? Are they looking for betting patterns? Are they looking for witnesses? And why does this director of the FBI have such a hard-on for such a low-level case, in my opinion, where the money is not as significant as the other stuff that's going on in this country?
Okay, so I'm going to start with the first question you asked. The FBI is going to be looking at everything: text, emails, carrier pigeon notes, handwritten notes, emails, fax printouts, whatever they can find, they're going to be looking at. And look, we all know the name Pete Rose, right? Pete Rose bet on his team to win, and he got in trouble for that. He didn't bet on his team to lose. He wasn't shaving points. He flat out bet that his team was going to win. And he was never allowed into the Hall of Fame. And he got into criminal trouble. And he did all that. And his bets were like $100, $200, $300. Like, we're talking minimal. So I think Rozier is a big enough name that it will call attention to some of these young men that are in the NBA that are doing these types of things. But he's also not a LeBron. He's not a Jordan. He's not one of those guys. So look, they're using him as an example. He is no longer playing. And, you know, they're just going to go ahead and do that. They're probably going to ask him to flip on other people, or they're going to go ahead and just, you know, make him the post child of, you do not bet on that. You don't take bribes. You don't do any of that kind of stuff. Look, there's two pitchers in Major League Baseball. I think it was $5 grand.
Hold on 1 second. All right. Pete Rose analogy, not a good analogy. He bet between $1,000 and $2,000 every game. After his documents came out, it was close to $7 million in bets. This is $250,000 in bets. Now, I don't know how long he's been doing it, but this particular case that's got Front Street is $250,000, not $7 million. All right, let's keep it moving. I understand. I just don't like it. Attorney Carter, if your client says I did not participate, which is what he's saying, what is your defense strategy here? Do you attack the evidence, the timeline, or the whole story?
Well, what he's going to say was, I didn't participate. It wasn't me. He's going to pull Shaggy, and he's got some good arguments here. He didn't play that game nor the rest of the season, and he said, "Hey, I legitimately was hurt. Right? I felt like I was kind of hurt before the game. I figured I wasn't going to play that much. Now, the thing that's going to sink him is text from his boys." Right, saying, "Hey, bet on this, etc." Right, but assuming that that those texts disappear, they're not there or whatever, he can legitimately argue, "I was legitimately hurt. I didn't tank it on purpose. I was out for the rest of the season." Now, part of the reason he was out for the rest of the season is because his team at the time sucked, and they weren't going to go to the playoffs, and it was the end of the year, so they just said, "We're not going to play all of our decent players." Right, but he can at least argue that, and so I'd argue that, hey, it's just a coincidence that I happened to get hurt this game. People get hurt all the time. And I wouldn't do nothing wrong. I got a feeling though that there could be a lot of texts where they can find out he was doing a lot wrong.
Right. Okay, Jason. Let's wrap this up. In federal cases, what matters most? Is it the suspicion, the connection, the intent, or the paper trail? What do they look at, and what make them super aggressive?
It's going to be the intent and the paper trail, right? If this was something that he intended to do when he sent his text to his boys saying, "Bet on the under because I'm hurt," that's huge. That's the intent. And then the paper trail, that text. Hopefully he was on Snapchat and it disappeared. But if not, the FBI has a hold of it, and that's, and again, I think it's just poster child to prevent this from happening again, and it's probably not going to work.
I agree with you, but let me tell you, I'm gonna go back to my rub again. Like, sports betting is everywhere. It's in commercials, it's in apps, it's in the casinos when you're walking in, it's in pregame shows, it's in the group chat. Everybody's taking odds, spreads, props, parlays. It's like how do you build, or I would say, so you don't build a casino around the culture and then act shocked when there's scandal. And when it's a scandal at this level, why do you use him as an example? That's my biggest thing here, because this is costing this young man who Attorney Carter already has shared with us, has no money, even though he should, has no money. And I know, Jason, you have a personal experience with him, which you're more than welcome to share. But it just upsets me that all of our resources will go into this small player in this scheme of gambling, and then plaster him all over the media as, oh, see, we have to tighten down on people like this. It doesn't sit well with me. Go ahead, Jason. You want to share your experience with him?
No, Sean has something to say. I'm going to let him go first.
Well, yeah, Jason got to figure out if he got to breach attorney-client privilege. But but I can just simply say this, though, is that the reason Cash Patel talks about this is because he doesn't understand the other crimes. All right? He don't look like he understands his name. All right? He drunk all the time at the hockey games. This is not a smart man. All right? This is the only scandal he can really get his head around. Do you think he can understand a crypto scam? And so he's going to be out there talking about this. Now, the good news is that while he'll talk about it a lot, the FBI is not going to spend all of its time on this case. What they're really going after here is the mob, right? Because the real reason they're trying to figure out who paid him this money to throw the game, and they think they've got the mob, 3 of the New York families involved in that. The prosecutors will spend most of their time on that. They'll let Patel go out and give his cross-eyed talks. But don't feel bad. They'll spend most of their time doing this and not prosecuting, right, the January 6th people. They got to make sure.
Attorney Carter, you always telling us, don't be upset, don't be mad. It ain't that big of a deal, and I'm over here banging my gavel like, gee, Swizz. It's just enough already that they're using these ploys to like already just dilute the narrative around black men in media these days, black men in America these days, black women too. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. All right, I'm going to skip that. Let's go to the jury, because I think they're worth understanding what they're thinking. Jury, what do you guys think? Do you think that we should be spending all our resources on bringing this man to Front Street and airing the laundry, or could we have handled this back in local court so that we didn't have to spend any money? Drop down in the chat really quickly. Jury, it's your time to decide. Are we doing too much? Is the FBI doing too much? Is the director doing too much in this case? Or could there have been a less obvious approach to trying to bring this to justice? Drop down in the chat. Everybody drop down in the chat, jury. Let me know what you thought. And also, while you're thinking, do me a favor, please. Can you hit that like button? If you've already hit the like button, be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you've already subscribed, it would be great if you can invite some friends over. We're still here. We're the little engine that could, and we're going to keep going until we can't go anymore. Also, don't forget to turn on your notifications. And don't forget to follow Celebrity Court at Public Opinion as well. And I want you guys to go in the comments and drop some stories. I want some human interest stories of people dealing with the legal issue that you saw on Instagram that we can cover right here on Celebrity Court of Public Opinion along with our celebrities. As always, continue to drop down in the comments because we love it. We love it when you guys are following us. All right, New York Marie says doing too much. Essie Stone says doing too much. I Be the Shit says they're doing too much. Change the January 6 people and release. Thank you. All right, Good Tar Diva RBA, it says a clown is building a ballroom and an arch. Thank you. In the UFC, that's what I'm saying. Dominic Starr, better approach. I think there should be a better approach. I am sick of this narrative that all black men are bad and is driving this country straight to hell. It's just too much for me. All right. So with that being said, we're going to leave gambling and go straight into institutional power because this case is not celebrity foolishness. This is the NFL. And I'm loving this case because it's dealing with race, arbitration and whether the league gets to keep the mess behind closed doors. Because you know what? That's what they usually do. This case is titled Brian Flores versus the NFL. Who gets to control the truth? All right, case number 3, we know that Brian Flores versus the NFL. Now, according to the case file, the Supreme Court declined to take the NFL's appeal, allowing Flores' discrimination lawsuit to proceed in court rather than being fully pushed into an NFL-controlled arbitration. Now, I know arbitration sounds like something that makes people change the channel, but stay with me here, all right? I need for you to stay with me here. Arbitration is where powerful institutions sometimes say, we believe in fairness, but can we discuss that fairness privately? I don't like it in the wrong use of it. They want it privately, they want it quietly, and preferably they want it somewhere the public cannot see the proof that they have been exercising discrimination. All right, Sean Carter, I want you to explain to me, because I think a lot of people don't know who Brian Flores is and how important this case is for all minorities. That is Black men, women, Asians, the like. All right, with this particular case as it relates to the NFL. And also, can you explain when you get a chance what arbitration means in plain English?
Sure. So a couple of years ago, Brian Flores is a coach of the Miami Dolphins. They actually have a winning record, and they say, you know what, we want you gone. And he says, wait a minute, y'all firing me? It's because I'm Black, right? And he had some reason to think so, because when he tried to get other jobs, he couldn't get another job, and he had weird things happening. Like, for instance, he got an email one day saying, congratulations, you got the New York Jets job. And he's like, wait a minute, what do you mean? I think it was Giants. It was Giants. You got the Giants job. And he was like, what are you talking about? I haven't even gone in for the interview yet. It turned out that the text he got was for another Brian who actually got the job. So they had decided on who got the job before he even got his interview. And he's like, wait a minute, we have the Rooney Rule. And the Rooney Rule in football says that if you're going to hire someone in these high positions, I think we have a offensive assistant coach, right? Coach and front office, all right, all these high-level positions, you have to interview at least one person of color and or a woman. All right, you have to have nothing. You can't just have a bunch of white boys in there. You have to hire. You can still hire a white boy, and you usually do, but you got to at least have the other people in there to make it look good. And they're like, you made your decision before you even came to this. And you know what? Y'all been doing this for a lot of brothers. So he files a class action in federal court that says, you know what? Y'all are doing racial discrimination on coaching, and we got to have fixed here. And so we goes to court, and the NFL says, no, that's not where we're going. We have an arbitration clause. You signed it yourself. We're going to arbitration to do this. And what's the name? Flores doesn't want to go to arbitration. Here's why. It's not like a fair, neutral old man in retirement is going to come out and listen to the case. Right. Roger Goodell goes into God mode as the commissioner of the NFL and just decides whether you should be able to get money from his league, which is ridiculous, right? This to me would be like, right, if your mama put you on punishment and you went to your daddy and said, okay, daddy, you decide whether I should be on punishment. Well, unless your daddy went gay or impotent, guess who we gonna rule with? I don't know about you, all right? But I like Tissy Cat Comedy a lot. I'm gonna rule with Mama all the time. And I tell you why I like even more than Tussie is the fact that he makes $64 million a year. You think he is not going to turn down his $64 million a year job for justice for you? Hell no, right? So he is going to most likely, almost certainly rule for the NFL. So they say, look, we got to get this out of arbitration. And normally an arbitration clause is very ironclad. Right. But here the court said that the Second Circuit, for New York basically said, look, this arbitration clause is so ridiculous. It's not at all fair. We're going to throw it out. And then so the NFL appealed to the Supreme Court. And even our Supreme Court was like, we're not going to hear this. All right. We're going to let the New York ruling stand. So now the case goes back to federal court in New York 4 years later. And now Brian can try to prove that they didn't hire him because he's Black.
This is interesting. That's a hard case, Carter, but this is so interesting. I just love the fact that he's able to expose this whole thing that's been going on at the NFL for a long time. Let's jump down into some of these chats real quick. Guitar Diva RBA says, that's a conflict. Arbitrators aren't independent. I be the shit says, Sean has me hollering. Brenda K says, I hope he kicks the doors open on all the NFL BS. Me too, y'all. These brothers make the owners billions of dollars, and good little or no credit don't get a fair chance. I be the shits that I've side-eyed the NFL since they played Cap. You're right about that. JP Mills says good NFL is guilty. All right, Jason, I said it in the chambers. I worked for a major company, and one thing I did not know was when I was signing my contract on my on-hiring or onboarding paperwork, it said that any grievance that I had to go to arbitration. Like, you are not allowed to sue them. Correct. It has to go to arbitration. I'm sorry. That's a little sneaky. That's like a little handcuff that's like, I got you, especially if they participate in wrongdoing like this is. So tell me, in your opinion, why would the NFL prefer arbitration? Why can't they just deal with the truth?
Okay, so let's unpack a couple of things that you said. The NFL wants the arbitration because of exactly what Attorney Carter said. The person that's going to make the decision on this case would have been Roger Goodell, the guy that goes to the draft every single year, and when he walks on stage, what do the fans do? They boo him. Why? They don't like him. Okay, so Roger Goodell would have been the judge, the executioner, the jury, and everybody else. So by him being the arbitrator and him making the decision, Flores had zero chance. Okay, when you signed your employment documents with whatever company it was, and you said you agreed to arbitration, you are going to have a neutral arbitrator or a neutral board of arbitrators, either one arbitrator or a neutral board of three. Those are what Attorney Carter was saying. Those are the retired judges. Those are people that, sit on arbitration.
I don't trust them. Retired judge says, "Oh, white man to me, not interested. Don't want you on my racial discrimination case. I need the NAACP. I need Crump. I need somebody else. I don't need a whole bunch of white men arbitrating for me in a racial discrimination case." With that being said, Bailiff, take it away.
The NFL was attempting to force the coaches into arbitration, but this ruling now allows the lawsuit to go to trial. Brian, so the Supreme Court here says that this lawsuit can move forward. What does that ultimately mean for Flores and these other coaches?
Understand that the NFL has what's called a commissioner-driven arbitration, where the commissioner of the NFL sits atop of this kind of structure where the arbitration goes through him. He's kind of like judge and jury, where other associations like the NBA may have a more neutral approach to this. And so what the court is saying, or what courts are actually saying, because it's both the lower court and the appellate court, is say, hey, you might call it an arbitration, but the way in which you operate, the way in which it has to go up to the commissioner, and he's the kind of arbiter, for lack of a better term, of all things, that's not true arbitration as we consider it under the law, and therefore you cannot force him and others to do this arbitration. Instead, this can go to a trial. This can go based on the laws of federal law that we see in other types of cases like this that don't have that arbitration, and it's going to be a much, I think, easier road for Brian Flores and others.
See, this is what I'm saying, and I hope everybody hear me and hear me clearly. In my opinion, in the court of public opinion and celebrity court, when a powerful organization fights to keep something private, that is suspicious to me. That is suspicious to me. I'm sorry. I don't care. That is suspicious to me. So, Sean, tell me otherwise.
Just so you know, arbitration in and of itself, it's not private. You can go ahead and it is public. It is not, unless you sign a confidentiality agreement or you sign an agreement or you have the rules put in, it's just like a trial. So it's not private. It's not like
Jason, you're not understanding it. It's that privilege that you got. I don't want to be in arbitration where the owner of the NFL is deciding the fate on something that I am exposing. And I don't need a bunch of his friends. I don't need a bunch of his friends who he's been golfing with for years in the New York court system, because he plays with them all. He invites them to all the country club events and all the golf outings and all the NFL boxes and stuff. I don't need any of his friends deciding on racial discrimination topics with. No, it's just, it feels dirty. It feels like what we're dealing with right now in this country. It's one-sided and it's not cool and it has to change. Sorry. All right,
well,
everybody.
fortunately, the court agreed with you as far as at least arbitration is going to be around forever. It's cheaper, etc. But with regard to Goodell, he's not going to be able to do that anymore. And that applies, by the way, to not just this case. All right, because he's been doing that for everything. Anybody who ever tried to do a whistleblower or said there was financial irregularities, he was sitting there on God mode just deciding, right? That's not going to happen anymore. So he's going to be in trouble. It'll be interesting to see when the rest of the emails come out, right? Because the real question really is, did they discriminate against the brother? Did it just, and it's going to be hard. It's going to be a hard, I think, role for him to prove unless he has some real good emails. Unfortunately, as we know, the Supreme Court recently decided that racial discrimination really doesn't happen unless you say the N-word, and you got to say it 3 times out loud in public. So it's going to be a little harder to prove than it would be in the past. And I'm rooting for the brother, but it's going to be a tough road. But there'll be some stuff that comes out publicly that might make the NFL want to settle this case.
I just hate these major corporations that make billions of dollars off of the back of people that look like you and I, men of color, women of color, black and brown. Oh, and they always want transparency until the transparency is asked from them. Like, everybody loves diversity until the diversity hire asks for records. Everybody loves fairness until fairness wants a deposition from multiple people to tell the truth. This is why I feel like this case is bigger than football. You got to understand, the NFL, the economy that the NFL creates in these black young men who are making more money than their peers at a larger number on multiple teams creates what's called the black economy, which gives them a voice. And for you to box out and discriminate in that process, to me, it's because you understand the power of it. So you want transparency, then move the freak off of the arbitration board, sir. Put some people on there where accountability really matters, and then see how well you do. That's all I'm saying. Sorry, I'm on my soapbox. Too much tequila. Anyway, all right. let's go to the jury real quick. Jury, what do you guys think? I'm sorry. I am sick of this. We are in 2026, and there are still elements of how we're being governed, how we're being ruled, how we're being still put back 20 and 30 years. We're back in the 50s and the 60s now, and it's not cool. Drop down in the chat, guys. Tell me what you think. Am I drinking too much? Or am I too emotional tonight? Put it in the chat. I need to know, because this drives me nuts. How will there ever be change when people who can do change are never going to do it? He's never going to take accountability for discriminating. He wants his $65 million. He wants his $1 billion. He wants his slaves on the plantation and not running off and going to see other opportunities. That's what he wants, and it's not cool. Simply not cool. Sorry. All right. My bad. Be sure to hit that like button, though, if you're enjoying the conversation. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you already subscribed, be sure to hit the share button. All right. I need you to also turn on your notifications and follow us on Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. And as always, drop down in the chat. Yes, I am preaching tonight, but I know I'm not the only one feeling this. It's like, how much more do you want us to do? What more do you want us to go through? And even our brothers who are making the most money and now you don't even want them to make the money that they deserve. This is just strange to me. All right, let's go from the NFL. I'm going to try to keep my cool this time. I'm trying to keep the room private. Let's go from keeping the room private. We go to a hotel, allegedly making somebody's private information way too public. I don't like that. And this case is given X. We know it's a front desk. We know there's security footage and a lawsuit, which is a receipt for legal chaos, as well as what this is, reality TV level mess. All right, this case is about Josh Goldstein versus the hotel, the Hyatt. Now, the front desk, they say, definitely made a fumble. Let me explain it to you. Love Island star claims hotel staff leaked his private details to an ex. Ooh, I love it. Love Island's Josh Goldstein is reportedly suing Hyatt and a hotel employee, alleging an ex called pretending to be his sister and that an employee allegedly shared private details about his hotel stay and movements. Let me say this clearly. If true, this is not customer service. This is customer surveillance with a lot of gossip. Attorney Carter, boy, tell me what is going on here and what duties. Because I'm going to tell you, when I check in, I have to do everything but damn near give blood to get my damn room key. What duty does a hotel owe on calls asking for information?
All right, first of all, I see it here. I be the shit to go ahead and put up Josh Goldstein's picture, and this will probably explain a lot. So Josh decides that one woman ain't enough for him, and so he's going to take his woman out to the Hyatt place. Which, by the way, Josh, you got to spend a little bit more money than that. All right, you in the Gainesville Hyatt place. All right, about $4 a night. But anyway, he checks in this place. And then his girl calls. She's suspicious because she knows Josh. And so she calls and says, hey, I'm his sister. And I'm really worried about him. Can you find out what's going on with him? And apparently there are only like 4 people staying at this place because the woman at the front desk knows exactly who he is. And says, girl, not only will I tell you, when he checked in and all that, let me go ahead and go on the surveillance camera here. And she starts following around the hotels. He's going like, ooh, he with this girl.
Stop it!
Yes, she was describing the girl like, oh, she got a big old booty. I think it's a BBL girl. Ain't real, but that's a white girl, right? Just, I'm not kidding. She's all up in his business, right? Reports it so much so that then the girlfriend goes on Instagram, of course, and decides to spill the tea, tell everybody that he's cheating, etc. He's like, hey, you messing up my reputation here. Because this Love Island, by the way, is not Real Housewives, right, of anything. They don't get paid any money. Right. And so he had a brand deal for a whole $4,000 a month, which he lost. So then he went to Hyatt and said, look, y'all spilled the tea, weren't supposed to tell all my business. And as a result, I want $48 million. And they were like, no, but we will give you, all right, 2 coupons for breakfast in the morning. All right, for you and your girl, we can get you free breakfast. And so he filed a lawsuit.
Points.
He's like, they give you some points. And so he filed a lawsuit. And really, he was asking for too much. I don't know that he in his complaint, he says, I want over 50,000 because in Florida, that's the limit you need to sort of get in the big boy court. But I don't know if he wants 50 million, but I do know he asked for too much. And here's why. Because if I'm the Hyatt, if he asked for any reasonable amount, if I'm in-house counsel and he asked for 50 grand, I'd have reached in my pocket and paid it out of my own pocket. Like, look, you got change for 100? All right. Because this is bad news. I know who not staying at the Hyatt anymore. Me. All right. I ain't scared to Hyatt no more because I don't want them to be. By the way, I'm gonna be there by myself. All right? I ain't gonna pull no stupid stuff like this. But I don't want them to be like, oh, we were looking at the camera's room today, and baby, his ankle's ashy. You see? By the way, we saw his search history on the computer, and so we're gonna tell my wife pretend to be our sister.
Right.
Now, they got too much business at the Hyatt.
You know what? I hate to say this, but I'm gonna say it. He needs to hire a publicist. And he needs to blow this story up, and he needs to put it on every outlet, and he needs to do media everywhere he possibly can. This is everybody's biggest nightmare who's a creeper on the down low with another besides your wife. This is negligence, this is invasion of privacy. This is absolutely horrible. And then I would go in and I would ask for $20 million to land in 5. That would be my strategy for this guy right here. And I'm pretty sure, to be perfectly honest, if he stirred the pot big enough, he could probably walk away with $10 million on this, on a settlement of some sort. Because the worst thing possible for me is invasion of privacy and safety. Someone sharing hotel details as well as what's happening on hotel camera, that is way beyond too low for me. When I tell you I would have been crying, the blonde lady, Karen Mood, I'd have been in there. I would have been tolerant. I promise you, I would put this everywhere possible. But back to you. Okay, Jason, let me ask this question. If an employee gave out information without proper verification, what claims are the strongest?
invasion of privacy. You have an expectation that when you check in, they're not going to give out your name, they're not going to give out your room number. They can't do that, right? If you call the hotel and you say, hey, where's my mom staying, where's my wife staying, where's whatever, they're not going to give you the room. The most that they will be able to do is connect you to the room. That's what it used to be. Now I don't even know if there's phones in the rooms anymore. I just know that I was when I was off camera, I was changing my reservation because I was supposed to be staying at a Hyatt Wednesday night and Thursday night. But, I am doing that now. His best bet right now is to go to one of the competing brands like Marriott and say, all right, let's do a commercial. And that's what the commercial should be. It should be, you want privacy, you want intimacy, you want to blend in with the crowd. Stay at, don't stay at Hyatt, stay at Marriott, because we got your back. Wink,
right.
Wink, wink. I mean, this is not good, and it's not a good look. And I have a feeling that person was either let go or needed to go get retrained. And like Attorney Carter said, they're probably going to give him buffet tickets for 3 because it seems like he's going to need a third person there. And probably 3 nights and stays. And look, if he wants $50,000, they're going to give him $50,000. He wants $100,000. He's going to get $100,000, but more than that,
I would make this a bigger deal than this.
Well, but here's the problem.
I would make this a bigger deal than this. I don't think $50,000 would be enough for me.
You would make it a bigger deal, but here's the problem, and this is what people I don't think understand when they run to the gram or they even file a lawsuit. The only value to Hyatt to pay you a lot of money would be to keep this quiet.
Right.
But it's all you already spilled the beans now. We're talking about it now. All right, it'll be all over the internet. So Hyatt has nothing more to gain from keeping it quiet. There's no reason to pay you a bunch of money to keep it quiet because it's already out in the open. You should have kept this down low longer.
I would argue the opposite of that. I think the initial money would have been to keep it quiet if he wanted just $50,000 to keep it quiet. I think now though, when I think of the Hyatt, I'm thinking of security risk. I'm thinking there is sex trafficking going on with young girls. I'm thinking if they allow this type of right here, then they may allow other stuff. I think this is absolutely damaging to their reputation.
No, it is. But what does paying him money do at this point to restore the reputation?
You give him his money and you make him stop talking about it. You
could have made him stop talking about it if you had paid him his money. If he had he paid him money earlier and moved on. I assume he must have asked for too much.
Probably didn't think about it then. I think if you want him, that's why I said I would start doing a press tour. I would threaten to go talk to everybody that'll listen to me and to shut me up. You keep me off the airways from expanding the story and making it worse. All right, Carter, real quick, tell me if you were the Hyatt, how would you defend against this?
I simply would admit wrong and say, what are the damages here? All right, you lost a girlfriend, which probably saved you some money in the long run. All right, because she ain't shit. We saw her. She you know how she know you ain't shit because she threw your shit on the internet. All right, that's how we know she ain't nothing. So just move on from her. All right, I would argue that you didn't get hurt. Nobody came. Matter of fact, you probably got a little more extra because probably 2-3 other groupies came and ran in, and you got a little extra, and you probably owe us money. I would just simply argue the damages are minimal. All right, you. By the way, you are technically in the Bible. I think you referred to as a attention whore. You on reality shows now trying to get exposure. All right, you ain't afraid of where people wanted. You would have posted that your damn self if you weren't cheating. You didn't really get hurt. Now, if somebody got hurt, got stabbed, a wife, a battered wife, that'd be a real thing. But you're just lucky. Think about it. We ain't got a picture of you anywhere with your shirt on. You ain't worried about your privacy.
I think. Let me tell you something. Maybe this is why I feel so passionate about this. First of all, I stay in a lot of hotels when I'm traveling. A lot. I used to stay in 2 or 3 hotels a week, and I actually got called out at a hotel. They called it in the Page 6 or TMZ or somewhere when my nephew and I were coming from the beach. We had our beach chairs and everything. We were coming back to the hotel and we were going into, taking all the stuff that I had in the car into the hotel, because I didn't want anybody to break into the car. And of course, the story was paid for by a hotel desk clerk that I was staying in the hotel, confirmed my room and confirmed that I was with a male. The male was my 12-year-old nephew.
Oh God!
And they run with that story. They ran with the story that I was with a male. That's why I think that it's those types of incidents that can lead to something really bad. And that was from a PR standpoint, right? However, they shouldn't be sharing any information, and definitely not details from a video. I just feel like this is the ultimate privacy evasion, negligent case that could possibly happen to a hotel. That's one of the things you should never do. And if you did it, you need to pay. Sorry, I don't care. They need to pay. All right, let's keep going. Did they have a duty, or did they mess up? Did they harm, follow, and can you prove damages? Let's go to the jury. Jury, what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Do you think it's okay for a hotel to A, share that you're there, B, share that who you're there with, C, go on the camera and share details about what they are watching while you're at the hotel? Personally, I wouldn't even want that. I wouldn't even want them watching what I'm doing, because what I'm doing in the hotel is my business. What do you think? Drop down in the chat. Please drop down in the chat. What do you guys think? What do you think? Drop down in the chat. Honestly, as a hotel worker, I expect you to check me in. I expect you to keep my situation private. I expect you to give me some towels and Wi-Fi and directions. I do not expect you to tell my whereabouts to become a TMZ story. I do not. That's not your job. I do not expect an ex to call the front desk and get not only that I'm staying there, but telling you all the details of what I'm doing while I'm there. Hell no. That would never happen. Oh, we got a super chat. Come on, Colette Davis. Colette Davis, thank you so much. You've been with us since the beginning. I appreciate you. Come on, real estate mogul. Just because it's June, my birthday month, Gemini gang. Oh, so you're not enjoying the conversation? I'm kidding.
You're enjoying the show.
That means.
And by the way, can I say it? Can I say it?
Yeah.
Ladies, y'all getting crazy with the birthday month. All right. You weren't born for a whole month. Hopefully not. Hopefully for your mama, you were born about 40 minutes. All right. Depending upon which child you were. All right. You don't get a whole birthday month. You get one day like everybody else. And all you celebrating is the fact that you didn't die yet last year. All right. So you don't get a whole birthday month. Anybody got a month to take off?
Get out of here. Let me tell you something. This is my court, and I'm born in June. I celebrate from Memorial Day to Labor Day. Is my birthday. All right, really quickly, Chad, I do want to know one more thing. Would you be more upset if your hotel leaked your room information, your arrival time, or your guest details? Which one would you be more upset with? Because that lady, she leaked it all. Answer me again. Which would you be most upset about, Chad? Would you be upset because he got leaked that he was there, that it got leaked that he was there with somebody else, or that they told his arrival time? Drop down in the chat. Which would you be most upset about? All the above. Nisha Phillips says all of the above. I agree with you. All right, this is the part where we go to the jury room. I need to know what you guys, I think, who do we find guilty or not guilty? We're going to the verdict, guilty or not guilty. I need all my A-listers. Come on, jury members. I need all my jury members. I need you to drop your final verdicts right here. First up, Stunna Girl. Is Stunna Girl guilty or not guilty for disrespecting the court? All right, drop down in the chat. Is Stunna Girl guilty or not guilty for disrespecting the court? Drop down in the chat. I need 3 guilty verdicts. Is Stunna Girl guilty or not guilty for disrespecting the court? IQMJG says guilty. Editor says guilty. And Doreen Pierce says guilty. Stunna Girl, you've been found guilty. Guilty in celebrity court of public opinion. Really quickly, Rozier is the basketball player. Is he guilty or not guilty for participating in a gambling scandal? Is Rozier guilty or not guilty for participating in a gambling scam? Colette Davis says guilty. Let's see. Is he guilty or not guilty of participating in a gambling scam? Drop down in the chat. SL Warrior says guilty. And Brian and Simone says guilty. Terry Rozier, you have been found guilty. Guilty here in celebrity court of public opinion. Flores next. That is our black coach. Is the NFL guilty or not guilty of trying to sweep this underneath the rug? Is the NFL guilty or not guilty of trying to sweep this under the rug? Drop this down in the chat. Please drop down in the chat. Is the NFL guilty or not guilty for sweeping this under the rug? Drop down in the chat. New York Marie says guilty. Chaos God says guilty. I be the shit says big guilty. NFL, you've been found guilty. Guilty here in Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. And last but not least, is the Hyatt guilty or not guilty for airing that man out? Guilty or not guilty for airing that man out, telling his business? It's guilty or not guilty for airing that man out? All right, drop down in the chat. Is he guilty or not guilty? NFL is guilty. Okay, we're going to the last case. Is the Hyatt? Colette Davis says the Hyatt is guilty. Let's see who else. Drop down in the chat. Is the Hyatt guilty or not guilty? Is the Hyatt guilty or not guilty? Drop down in the chat. Definitely guilty. Essie Stone says definitely guilty. And Dorian Peace says guilty. Hyatt, guess what? You've been found guilty. You've been found guilty here in the Court of Public Opinion. All right, tonight's final verdict is this: celebrity culture loves access until accountability walks in. Athletes love the spotlight until federal questions start circling the scoreboard. Institutions love diversity until Discovery asks for documentations, and hotels, yep, y'all love hospitality until privacy becomes a lawsuit. And public figures love attention until the attention turns into evidence. And this is why this show matters, because we're not just watching the mess, we're learning what the mess means. The lawyers gave you the legal standard. I gave you the cultural temperature. Now the jury has decided who is guilty and who is not guilty. Remember this: the court of law decides guilt, but the court of public opinion, guess what we decide? We decide reputation. And sometimes reputation gets sentenced first. Thank you so much for watching Celebrity Court. Court is now adjourned.